Change, as we know, is constant. In our daily lives, at one point or another, we need to change to get the best out of life. Given that every day of our lives we have to be on the road, then change is inevitable in the face of the challenges on COVID-19. Today on this episode, we'll look at behavioral change of road users in the face of the pandemic. Welcome to Road Matters. I am Fatima Umar. Stay tuned. As a road user, interactions with others on the road is unavoidable and sure to happen. From boarding a vehicle, asking for directions, bumping into other road users, observations and road officials enforcing the road rules. With the situation around the world now arising from COVID-19, changes are expected. Being on the road will not be the usual normal. Road authorities engage in publicity campaign, road users taking extra precautions. Everyone is trying to adapt to the new normal. But what really has changed for the road user, especially as we go out on the road?
I observed from a few times I tried using the public transport, the way they coordinate it, unlike before they used to carry 4 at the back and 2 at the front. Some of them now even carry 2 at the back and 1 at the front. So while I want to enter, I have to wait and look for those ones that are actually taking those precautionary measures, those who understand the situation on ground and those who want to help themselves. So if I want to use the public transport, I take precautions. I use my own sanitizer and I use my face mask. The other day also, while I enter a vehicle, I noticed one of the passengers was not using his. I asked the driver to stop, let me alight, because I can't stay in the vehicle with him. And at the same time, although he said he have other health challenges, but I said then, you have to use your face mask. And when he could not provide that, I have to step down from the vehicle. A few weeks ago, I had an encounter with Federal Road Safety Commissions and VIO at my junction, trying to inspect our vehicle particulars. I said it's uncalled for. I can't hand you my paper particulars for you to inspect after you have inspected someone's own, who I don't know. You can equally contact it from that person and pass it on to me while I receive it, and it still comes to me. So I think at this time also, government should also try to bring some precautionary measures, like call the road safety and the VIOs to order on their issues of checking of vehicles. Because for us that are the road users, it's not healthy, and even for them as well, it's not healthy. So avoid them contacting the virus from people where they are trying to inspect their vehicles is for their own safety as well. So some more measures need to be in place.
The price has changed, double of what I used to pay. The drivers are not complying to what the government has stipulated. So, and we, the passengers, we don't have choice than to use what is available. When the desirable is not available, the available becomes the desirable. So we don't have choice. They'll still take 4 and then collect times 2 of what they have been taking from us. I normally wash my hands with soap, and I use hand sanitizer to sanitize myself to ensure that I'm safe. Even if I'm in the vehicle, I ensure that I always sit at the window side for proper ventilation and to ensure that I don't have contact with my neighbor, even when I'm doing my best. But I know it's not easy. It's only God that can protect us.
So many things have changed during this little release of movement. Yes, those things that are changed now are the free movement we have. Like, for instance, if I'm approaching public, what I do is to put on my mask. When I'm interacting with audience or public, I put on my mask to make sure I protect myself from coronavirus. So when I touch any car door, I know I will protect my eyes, my nose, my mouth until I get to where I wash my hands. Like, for instance, when I want to enter a taxi and it's more than the numbers, I drop out and wait for the right vehicle to convey me to my destination because of my safety.
If I want to take a taxi and maybe reaching there, maybe there are 4 or 5, I will not. I will not enter into that car. In as much as there are more than 3 or 4, I will not. I'm scared of this COVID-19, this pandemic. In fact, I'm not really comfortable with this condition. So the only means of me giving this time is just whenever I want to, let's say, take a taxi, I'm always conscious of the front seat. Then I also go along with my nose mask. Then at the back seat, I cannot, because that is the only way. That's the only way you can easily contact the COVID-19.
That they used to carry for at the back, so they should not carry it again. That they should reduce it. Like now, they put 4 in the back. Like now, they'll be touching each other, so the thing can infect any of them. If the driver in the front carry 2 now, you see if the other person that is in this side talk, the thing will affect the driver. The road users, they should obey the government instruction that they should be using their face mask, wearing their hand glove, obeying the instruction that they say they should do. The government, if they can just be making all these face masks, if they can be doing it for free, you see plenty people will come and be using it. And then many people will be using it. And then you see, that's when you see that they can obey the government instruction.
I don't really enter public transport when my car is available. But when it's not, I make sure I take a drop, no matter how inconvenient it is for me, so that we can just be myself and the driver. And then, of course, I use my face mask. There still needs to be some level of sensitization, if you like. The drivers have complete disregards for these rules of social distancing within their motor. That is 2 at the back, 1 at the front. So they have nothing, in fact, they absolutely, it's even worse for people traveling outside Abuja. You need to see some of these guys riding the Sharon buses, full loaded, even 18-seater buses, full loaded, because you see them going out of Abuja and you're wondering what has really changed. Nothing has changed, and no enforcement.
Yeah, I think for us in Abuja, we observe that strictly. In some other suburbs, we have some persons disobeying. But in Abuja, if you go around, we observe it largely in some parts, yeah. Some persons, sometimes when you even go to Abuja, some persons try to bring in passengers from Lokoja and they have 2 passengers in the front. Sometimes you see the same coming from some, coming in from Kaduna axis through Zuba. We find very few from the Maraba into Yanya. But we are trying to observe that, and we within the FCT will do our best while calling on other states to also key in. It's not just an FCT thing. If the states key in, if the transport agencies key in, if the National Union of Road Transport Workers all key in, it will be for the overall good of the nation. It will even be for your own comfort if we all observe those protocols here. Even the people who manufacture this car gave us specific guidelines as to how many passengers can be carried. The seat belt define how many persons can sit in the car. You have the normal seat. But when we violate all of this, it's not about just enforcement all the time. People must own the process, must buy it, must ensure that their own life and their future is also protected. But we are talking with the road transport workers because we have different components. The FRSC have been very engaging. The DRTs have been very engaging. Most times they park in Abuja. We're interfacing with them to ensure that post-COVID-19, the enforcement officers will go and do some other things, while the persons who themselves know that their lives are involved, we own the process. And it is good for them to own the process. We cannot be this far forever. When COVID-19 is gone and we are sure we are safe, then we must ensure that we maintain our health protocols, but not all the health protocols, where you cannot go closer to anybody at all, where it will be very far, where everybody will act as if they are fighting a pandemic forever. No. Once the COVID-19 era is gone, we've seen that before, humanity will adjust itself a little to come back. But if you are expecting us to act as what we are acting under COVID-19, completely in post-COVID-19, you will never get it. Humanity must adjust. We are ensuring that they put on the face mask so that whatever is coming out of you is not passed on to the next person, and the next person will not pass what you will inhale. That is the principle of that. We must do it. It's part of the guidance of the PTF, and we are enforcing that for now, and we must keep enforcing until such a time when we are told that, yeah, we are out of that. And we must be very careful about those drivers who have multiple face masks in their car. I've seen some of them who somebody won't have a face mask, just remove one, and you give people to share and to use and put on their face. Well, maybe the last one dropped something terrible, even beyond corona. You don't even know, and the next thing you take it, you wrap it all on your mouth and your face. It's unhealthy. Sometimes we have seen where people struggle with themselves and to get a face mask, and sometimes some even lie that your face mask is with me. They bring one out, say, okay, this is the one you kept. But I don't think it's right. Beyond enforcement, somebody cannot bring a face mask and give me to cover my mouth, cover my nose, very sensitive part of the body. No, it's not hygienic. What we are expecting going forward is to see persons change how they behave when they use the road, particularly commuters. Drivers as well will also be very careful. The issue of carrying too many passengers is not very healthy, have not been very healthy before, and it's even very, very risky, making the driver uncomfortable and overloading the vehicle, overloading the ASU, as well as overloading the shock absorber. All of these contribute. But when it comes to the issue of the post-COVID-19, persons must understand that their health is very key here. Overloading of passengers, for instance, in tricycle, carrying one person with the driver shifting to create space for one person, or as well getting them choked at the back is inappropriate. Carrying two passengers in front in a saloon car with a driver making it 3 and 4 at the back, compressing them, is not appropriate, it's not healthy for them. Getting overloaded vehicles is also not healthy for them. So we're expecting to be seeing changes in how people do things here. Those of us who are used to a cough and catarrh in this part of the world here. So we must be very careful of how we act when it comes to the issue of using the vehicle, particularly as commuters and drivers themselves, who are the ones who own the vehicle, manage it with their conductor. Also be very careful. We expect to see conductors being careful how they touch notes, how they carry money from persons, how they touch money, particularly even in buses. We expect to see them be very careful when they tell you, okay, madam, bring your change, and somebody is bringing change, somebody is dipping hand and giving to somebody is trying to touch the currency the way he likes. We expect to see conductors themselves who are collecting the money and arranging the money to count the money and confirm if every passenger in the vehicle actually pay. Be very careful. Sometimes you can even hold disinfectant. You can even have your own sanitizer. When you touch the money, you keep yourself. As we expect to see several things changing going forward, but we also have a fear of the fact that should COVID-19 be fully gone, some persons may just relax completely and return back to what they used to be before. You know, if you go to some parts, when conductor want to give away his seat and sit facing somebody, you shouldn't allow that as well. We must also be very careful how we are being moved and transported. I think if we do all of this, it's for our own safety, both when it comes to the health safety as well as the physical safety altogether. And we must ensure that we keep the drivers properly guided. It takes two to tango.
I can't balance of things. We have less traffic, and most of the cars, they don't go out often, and people are being very, very careful nowadays. So we have social distance. As a driver in town, we have to take precautions. Wash your hands regularly as you touch your cars, touch your vehicles, as you drive and park. Don't even shake hands with people. Just be safe, and let's all stay alive together.
As we have come to understand, road users' behavior can guarantee the safety of other road users. Change can start from you to others. Going out on the road, it is up to us all to be safe. Behavior change is a long-term commitment. Abiding to the laid-down rules to keep you safe on the road adds to the effectiveness. And one of such is making sure your car is in good condition before driving out, especially if you've not driven that car for some time. That is next on Tips.
The experience we had after this lockdown is issue of battery, and some cars to develop a kind of misfire problem because the car has been parked on the ground for more than 1 month. By the time you start the car, you should experience some misfiring because the car has been parked on a particular spot for a longer time. So you need to get their nozzle service and their fuel filter checked before the car could run smoothly. Just some basic routine check before you can put your car back on road. Issues that will be developed with cars presently. Once you don't warm your car up, if you don't have a good cell of your battery, it's likely that the battery will run down. So the only way you can do to sustain the battery is either you'll be warming up the car, maybe like every week, to keep the battery life on, or you remove the terminal head by removing the negative terminal. That one can sustain the battery, pending when you go to reuse the car. But the only issue you have when you are removing your terminal head, because most cars are sensitive, by the time you remove the terminal head, you might need to do some resets which you need a technician to come and do for you. But we advisable to leave their battery on just to be warming the car up. When you are pulling off your battery terminals, it's better to remove your negative terminal. Why? Because energy runs from positive to negative. So when you are removing the negative terminal, you have shut down the flow of current through the system. So you can still meet your battery there, not drained. If you are keeping your battery, you remove the negative terminal first before removing the positive terminal. So after keeping, anytime you are putting it back again, you do the same routine, put the positive first before the negative. So the negative comes last. But when you are removing the negative first, when a car has been parked for a long time, you look out for your brake fluid, it's possible, to get it checked so that you won't have a brake failure while driving. Your water in your radiator, you get it checked as well. So those are the basic things you can check. Another thing that could be developed, your tires. If a car is being parked on a spot for up to like 30 days, you have what you call flat spot. That is what we have on the tire. The tire will develop a flat top. When you drive the car, you'll be hearing the car will not be smooth because of the flat top on the tire. But to prevent that, you need to inflate your tire to the recommended tire gauge. It will prevent the tire from developing such fault. Another thing you do for cars again is if you're going to leave your car to stay for like 30 days without driving, because Ford have it in their manual that if a car is not driven for 30 days, that's old engine oil has some deposit inside that could cause damage to the car. So it would be better for such cars to be checked by servicing the car, by changing the lubricant. That's if you are keeping the car to stay for 30 days. So you get the oil change and some routine check as well. Another thing you do for your body, if you're parking the car, like water sports, you can damage the paint. So if you're parking the car for a long time, to maintain a steady temperature, you can get a car cover to cover the car so that the car will remain under stable condition, either under sun or raining. It will prevent the paint from fading out. Another thing again that should be looked out for is your rodents. By the time you park your car for a long time without using, rodents find their way into the car, but especially rats. They can eat up some wirings in the car. So by the time you come to start your car, you find out that the car will not be responding the way you should. So you should maybe fumigate your surrounding, or even the car itself should be kept clean. That will prevent rodents from brooding in. In their manual, they have it in their manual written that if a car will be kept for 30 days, that's 1 month, without using, and you've driven the car before, that means you have an old engine oil in the car and you're intending to park the car, it's better to get the lubricant change. Because in the engine oil, there are some additives that affect the engine components. That's old engine oil. There are some components inside that could affect the engine. So it's better for you to get the oil drain and get it changed. That's if you're parking the car above 30 days. Ford cars and like other cars too can go likewise, like Honda cars, Toyota. If the oil has been changed for a long time, if you're parking, it's better to get a routine check, to get those things checked. Another thing, when parking the car, you don't use the handbrake to keep the car, because when you use your handbrake, leaving the car on a particular spot, the handbrake system could fuse together because of the moisture around. It could affect your braking system. So it's better to leave the car. If it's an automatic car, you can engage your park lock, then you release your handbrake. It's better that way. Another thing you should look out for when leaving the car for more than 30 days, it's your fuel. If you have a low fuel in your tank, it's better for you to fill it up. Because if the tank is halfway, there could be moisture inside the tank. Most cars that have, if it's not a plastic tank reservoir, if it's those type of metal tank, there could be corrosion inside the tank. So it's better to fill up the tank to the beam. That's if you're leaving the car more than 30 days, to prevent corrosion and some seals get dried inside the fuel system. It's not on the sun now. The car has been parked in a garage or in a closed place. You don't need to warm your car every day if you have a good cell. Maybe like every weekend, just warm up the car. But if you don't want to do that, you can just remove the negative terminal. You can still sustain the car. There are some cars that have a backup battery, like all those German cars. Even when you remove one of the battery terminal head, they still have some things that still run under cells, because those cars will not afford to be shut down. because of the electronic system in it. So they need to be kept alive. It's possible to have an issue with Kickstarter too. You know, a car that's been parked for a long time, you've not been starting it. It will just develop some little carbon on the Kickstarter that might need an electrician to just check, just a little recheck. It's not any serious damage that could be checked on that. Before starting the car, if you want to move the car again, it's better for you if you have a space to drive the car around, because car being parked on a particular place, you start developing some suspension issue. So it's better to flex the car a little by driving it around and reparking it. It's better to keep the car running so that even when you come back to use the car, you don't have to do any much service. Because when you leave a car on the ground, not driving it for 6 months, you develop a bad tires. Just like the flat spot. It's better to suspend the car. It will cost more work, but it's better to save your battery and it saves you cost. You put the car on a stand, by then you are suspending the tires from getting the touch to the earth surface. Look out for those feedback mechanisms you have on your dashboard. Like you have the engine oil indicator, you have the battery indicator on the dashboard. So by the time you start your car and you find out that your oil light is not going off, the indicator, you know there's a problem. So you need to put off the car to prevent damage. So you need to get the technician to come and get it checked. Another thing, if you start your vehicle and you find out that the battery light is showing constantly on the dashboard, it's showing you there's a fault with the system. That either maybe the battery is not charging. So you need to get a technician to radar check that. If not, you can run down your battery.
Road rules are unlikely to be followed by lawbreakers because once they start the car, they switch off the brain, which leads to accidents and mismanagement on the road. But this is about your life, so you have to do everything you can to stay safe on the road. This is where we end the program this week. You can stay in touch with the program on our social media handle, on Twitter at RoadMattersNTA, or send a mail to roadmatters@nta.ng. Until the next episode, I am Fatima Umar. Make that change and stay safe. Bye-bye.